Hi, welcome back to Maxed Out with me, Lorena Coleman. Today I have a special guest joining the podcast, someone who's reimagining what fan engagement can look like. The fans asked for gossip and she gave them a crime scene. I'd like to welcome Aisha, creator of the Bellfort Files, a Maxton Hall mystery fan page that's got everyone talking.
Hi, Lorena. Thanks for having me on. I'm Aisha, creator of the Bellfort Files, an immersive mystery experience set inside the Maxton Hall universe. So think about Maxton Hall meets Pretty Little Liars and Knives Out. The followers are not just followers, they're detectives, our cast members, our suspects, and everyone has a secret. Bellfort isn't just about the mystery, it's really about the storytelling and the community that goes with it. So I'm excited to be on with you today.
Oh, that's great. I'm happy to have you here. Can you tell me a little bit about how you learned of Maxton Hall and what was your initial reaction when you saw the show?
Oh my gosh. So it is so perfect that you asked me this because it's actually my 1 year Maxton Hall watch anniversary. I know. And I feel like it's really funny because I feel like maybe a lot of us have our own little anniversary dates for Maxton Hall, like when it kind of came into our lives. But the funny thing is, with this, I discovered Maxton Hall on accident. It was not intentional whatsoever. I actually just was having a really tough week, I remember. And I was like, I just want to do something. And if you know me, you know that I'm a real go getter and I really never put my to do list off. It's always front and center. But it was the first time where I was like, you know what? I just want to do something nice. And I got my blankets and got everything and made this little cozy environment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to watch something, pulled up Amazon Prime, and I intended to actually watch The Idea of You. That was my full intention. I know, my full intention. And as I was on Amazon, I come across the Maxton Hall trailer and I'm like watching it and it has my attention, but I am a creature of like, I intend to do something, that's what I'm going to do. So I go pull up The Idea of You, watch the trailer for that, get all my stuff. I get up to go to my kitchen, come back, sit down, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me just see this show real quick. And I remember the fuchsia blazers and like the colors,
Yeah.
everything intrigued me. And the funny thing is, when I watched it, I have time stamped texting my sister about the show. And it was really funny. And she texts me and goes, it's 10:30 at night. And she goes, are you off tomorrow? And I'm like, no, still working. I should be cleaning and stuff, but I'm watching an Amazon show. Text her again. It's a German dub. It's actually like the books we read with a cry face emoji. And then there's a picture of James in his white tank top getting out of his lacrosse practice. That scene, I send it to her and I'm like, billionaire spoiled brat and nerdy girl trying to get into Oxford. And she just texts me back and goes, LMAO, let me know how it is. And I'm like, they go to a school that looks like Hogwarts. And then I send her a picture of Ruby and I'm like, this is the girl. Text her again and I'm like, I'm hooked.
Yeah, I think we were all hooked after we saw that show. We're all obsessed. We're all hooked. I also have a memory too of like when I first saw it and just what I was doing and the day it came
Mhm.
out. I think we all can say that we remember when we first saw it. So there's a lot of fan pages out there, but Belfort, it feels really different. Can you tell me about your fan page and the idea behind it?
Absolutely. I think this is something that we talked about, but first of all, there's so many amazing pages out there. I have to say, they're just done so well. I know there was like so much out there already, and I was really looking for something that was not just a fan page, not just something that I could view, but something that I could be a part of. I wanted something that was like collaborative. So with Belfort, we have a mystery, but we also have it where all of the fans are part of the story and they're part of every single mystery. And it's not just a one way viewing. You're viewing the page and you're viewing the stories, but you're also participating in it. I think that was really important to me because I know I'm someone who gets like into that zone of doom scrolling at times. I felt like Maxton Hall fans are they're just really smart people and they're really creative. They have a good eye for like detail and heartwarming stories and emotions. And so I was like, these are people that I want to connect with, but not in the way that I'm creating content and they're absorbing it, but in a way that kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, what I noticed that it's very interactive. You're bringing the entire community together. Do you feel that way as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that is really important to me is what I would call like the quiet fans. I feel like there's so many fans that are like quiet fans that discover the show and they have all these thoughts and feelings about the characters and this kind of creates a place for us to all just go into the characters and talk about them, talk about their potential motives. There's a lot of like reading in between the lines and collaborating back and forth.
Yeah, a lot of engagement. And can you walk me through a case? How does it work?
Yeah, so we have so far we have had 2 cases that have launched, so very new. And our first case was about a missing bag. So just sort of iconic to the show because on the show we have James giving Ruby the bag and it has so much meaning. So of course the first thing I was like a bag needs to be stolen because that's not because it's not just a bag, right?
Oh,
It's
it's not, no, it's not just a
not just
bag.
a bag. We need to see what would happen to these characters if something like momentous like that was taken away. How do they react? How does Ruby react? What is his take on that? Like how do the friend circles react? It always starts off with me going, what if? And then the way it goes is the first day I will drop the story. So this is what happened. This is the crime. You get to see what happened. And then in that you might notice who was at the scene of the crime or who wasn't, how people feel about it, what their thoughts are. And then I will drop like a teaser for clues. It's a very fast paced mystery. So, like the second day, I'll drop clues, which include they can be text messages between Ruby and James, and they can be messages between the friends talking about what happened. So, like, side characters being like, did you see what happened? They can be blurred security footage, just like things like that. So I'll throw all those clues in, and a lot of the messages have the motives. And I guess that's like a little spoiler, but you will find motives for the crime within that. And then I do a second clue drop because, like I said, Maxton Hall fans are so clever and smart. They're like picking things up. And so it's second clue drop is like, hey, there's more to this story. So the mysteries are not, I would say they're like intermediate level. They're not super easy, but they're not super difficult. They're open to be flexible. If someone has a really good theory, the mysteries are flexible. And I've made it that way on purpose for the fact that we sometimes have interference on the cases. We do clues. And then the last day is when we collect theories. So it's like, tell me who did it. Tell me what their motive was. Tell me why you think they did it. Tell me like what, all your different theories and we'll collect all the theories. And then Friday we'll share all the theories and then we'll share the final answer over the weekend.
Yeah, and I've read some of those texts and I really get into them. They kind of remind me of like a soap opera. So I'm reading them. Ooh, what happened? What happened? I really like the texts that you have. And then just going back to that bag. Yeah, Ruby's bag is so symbolic because she receives it for her birthday when she's celebrating with her family. She opens up the bag and there's also the drawing that James had done of her. So that's like the first time we see the bag. And then later on during the breakup scene, she's clutching her bag. And then after she sends it back to him with that nasty note. So yeah, that bag is very symbolic. So I did like that.
Yes, and in the mystery, we actually use a different bag in a different scenario. We try to be very respectful to the story. So we always want to make sure that we're keeping the integrity of the story. And so it's another bag that he gives her, but still carries that meaning like, hey, you're someone meaningful to me. It's monogrammed. There's a conversation in that case between Elaine and Camille about, oh, he monogrammed it. He doesn't look like the commitment type. And, it's just little like things like that, things to notice about the characters.
Yeah, which is great. And then what's been the best or maybe the wildest part of running it? And just twofold here, what's been the best part about starting the fan page?
The best part is honestly the community interaction. So it has been like truly the best part. It's been so much fun. Our most recent case was about a vault and it was about the 5 boys. So James and his friends, and it kind of goes back and it says, hey, like before they got to Maxton Hall, first of all, I have to say, when guys get together, everyone says girls are drama. Guys are drama. Like literally they know so much dirt about each other and they like have so many deeper secrets, but they just kind of don't talk about it. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, this happened. Okay, let's go play ball. Like they really like discuss it like the
So
way that,
true.
I couldn't stop thinking about that. And I thought, hey, like these five guys are hiding something. It's like a mystery about that. Definitely had a lot of just the funniest, craziest theories. And one of our detectives on the case, right off the bat, she just goes, "It's Kyle. It has to be him. I do not trust him." And every single time we had a poll, she just voted. She was just like, "No, everything points to him." She was so gung ho about it. And I love just like sharing their enthusiasm and sharing their energy with everybody, even if it's like, hey, that's not necessarily the answer to the case. It doesn't matter. Like, I think people are afraid, oh, am I going to get it wrong? We want you to get it wrong. We want to like see what you think about the characters and where your mind goes when you view them and their motives and things like that. So it's been really fun to see that. I had somebody else who recently wrote a poem about it, about what might happen, which I shared on the page. And that was really cool. People are like so dedicated, and it's just a lot of fun just to interact and see what everyone's thinking. We had a few people on who had theories about just different theories about the characters. Totally fun to see how much love and care and joy there is that everyone has with it.
Yeah, and it sounds like everyone is really engaged and interacting and, like you said, excited and enthused about participating. I mean, from what you're saying, there's just a lot coming your way that I didn't know about. So this is great to hear. This is great that the fandom really enjoys the page and the mysteries and the cases. And I did have another question for you. Can you tell me about the next case? Is there anything you can share?
Yeah, so the next case is going to be the Beaufort Charity Ball. And it just was absolutely the way that we had to go about the third case. Like, just, it's going to be very regal. It's going to be very, masks. I don't know if you've ever been to a masquerade.
I have not. I've only seen them on TV.
Well, you need to get your mask out for this one. And it's half masked, right? So it's not full face. It's half masked. Everyone comes in. There's going to be a lot of drama, a lot of secrets, a lot more suspects, and everyone's hiding something. So it's going to be fun to see how our team and how our detectives and our suspects react to it. I know we have a lot of new detectives that just recently joined, and so I'm excited for that. A lot of people who RSVP'd. So we had an RSVP go out in our stories, and they received their tickets for the ball. I can't say too much, but I will just say a lot of regal chaos, which is, I'm always here for that.
Yeah, and I know it's not a party, but I notice that whenever these shows have a party or there's a dance, there's always drama. It doesn't matter what show I've watched,
Always.
there's always drama that goes down. There's always a fight, someone leaves crying, something always goes down at these parties. So I'm curious to see what you've got planned. And you're so creative. I've seen some of the clues go out and I'm trying to keep up, but yeah, so creative. I did want to tell you that.
Oh, thank you. That's so
And then,
sweet.
yeah, and then what do you hope fans take away from your page?
So I really hope that they first of all, I hope that they have fun. It's all just something where it's like we're all here to have fun and enjoy. It's not something that I would want anyone to take seriously in the sense of like stressing them out or causing them anxiety. It's actually the opposite. So, what we know about doom scrolling, which I mentioned earlier, is that it can cause anxiety and it can cause these feelings of FOMO or fear of missing out, feelings of inadequacy. And there's all this stuff that, we know is correlated to the amount of time you spend doing that and single sided consumption. So, this is interactive. It interacts with your prefrontal cortex, which helps you actually feel rewarded for being part of the mystery. It actually boosts your dopamine, which makes you happier and just helps you feel like you belong. And that's really what we want.
Yeah.
Just a place where fans belong and have fun.
Yeah, from everything you've said, it does sound like everyone is having a really good time with the page and the mysteries. So the page is a month old now, right? How exciting is that?
It's honestly it's been super exciting. It's really been a whirlwind with the page. It took off like it's 2 feet right as we launched somehow. And I want to say that one of the exciting aspects is that I mentioned it earlier that our followers are detectives and our cast members are suspects. And sometimes our suspects can jump in the mix and cause chaos, which we absolutely welcome as part of the investigation. We've definitely had that happen, especially case one, last day of our case being out. We had a lot of interference.
So tell me more about that interference. Is there someone you're referring to?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, case one I talked about earlier, which was the missing bag. And we had been doing this case all week. So, dropping all the evidence, we had detectives guessing back and forth. And early on in that case, we actually had Frederick, who plays Kieran, jump in on one of our polls and just really cause some chaos by voting that James had something to hide. And like I mentioned earlier, our James Beaufort fans are very loyal. And so, he wasn't able to throw them off the scent. And then later at the end of the case, we had Justice, who plays Alistair. And the last day that our case, my results were going to go out, the theories were in. I wake up and I see that he posted about a missing bag. And I was like, that is so strange because that is exactly my case for this week. And that is such a coincidence. And I was just could not get over it and was able to confirm that he was, in fact, just messing around with our detectives. It was really sweet. He really loved the idea and played along and honestly got the detectives talking like crazy. Alistair was under the bus for a long time. Everyone was like, there was no evidence against him, but he caused a lot of chaos right at the end there. And I just remember being like, you are like derailing this investigation, sir. And he was just really sweet about it. So it was awesome. We also have just the first case was dedicated to James's mom without giving any details for anyone who hasn't seen the show, and just a lot of support around that storyline from the actress who plays Cordelia, Clelia, and Hyun, who plays Percy. He voted on all our polls, and it's just really fun to see how how their votes direct the detectives as they go.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that not only the Maxton Hall fandom is participating and really loving it, but it sounds like so is the cast. They're reaching out, they're participating, they're throwing off everybody on the case. So this is great. This is great to hear. I love that. So I want to thank you today for coming on the podcast. You're welcome back anytime. I'm going to throw it out to you to close us out.
Thank you so much for having me and having me talk about the page. And I hope that if you're listening to this, or if you're curious, or if you've seen the page and you're like, what is going on? That seems like a lot of chaos. This is your invitation to just jump in and come enjoy the fun with us. The cases are in the grid. So in my story, you will always find all the details you need to solve the case throughout the week. But if you are late to the case, that's not a problem. You can always go back and do the cases on the grid format as well. This page is really about storytelling, community, and reimagining the fandom to be a clever cinematic collaboration. Just wanted to thank everyone who's just been part of it.
Oh, it's great to hear. Thank you again. And thanks everyone for listening, and I'll be back soon.